Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are honored to have in the studio with us today Captain Todd Perry, U.S. Navy retired. He is the executive director of the Navy SEAL Museum in San Diego. How you doing there, Captain?
I'm doing great. Please call me Drew. Okay. Call me Todd Drew. So,
I'll call you Drew. I'll call you Todd.
There's two Drews in the room now.
Yeah, I'm retired now, so
all right,
2 years now.
I'll be happy to do that. Congratulations and thank you for your service. Joined by my associate producer, Brandon Joe. He's also the CEO and founder of Treasure Hacks. On this, we'll get right started. Todd, what is the mission of the Navy SEAL Museum, San Diego?
Well, it's kind of threefold. It's obviously preserve our history and heritage, and then it's honor our fallen, and then we support naval special warfare families.
Right.
Through various programs. We've actually had a museum out in Fort Pierce since 1985. So we're coming up on 40 years. So
wow.
What
Congrats.
we're doing though is expanding to San Diego, where there's obviously, half our training's conducted here.
100%.
Our headquarters are here. Half our SEALs are here.
Right. How long were you in the SEALs for?
40 years.
Oh my goodness. So what got you? Did you have a family that was in the military? Was parents, grandparents, anybody else involved?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was in the Marines.
Yeah.
By the time he joined in Korea, but by the time he got over there, he didn't really see any combat. But in our era, most of our grandfathers served. I mean, they were all part of that greatest generation. So both my grandparents, there's some military, but none of them were career. They got in, they did their duty, got out. And that's kind of what I thought when I came in. I thought I'd do 3 years and learn some cool stuff. And
bam, 40 years later.
Well, that's itself another story. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, my father fought in Guadalcanal. And
Wow.
He was a medical doctor and didn't stay in for a career. He had private practice in.
So he was actually Navy then, right? A Navy corpsman.
But he was in the 1st Marine Division.
No, hats off to him. That was a tough fight. First big one for the Marines.
Huge.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I talk to people about it, and they go, thin red line. I go, well, you know what? What you need to do is go YouTube the real fighting in Guadalcanal. That's not to disparage thin red line, but I know you chuckled, so you know what I'm talking about.
Well, every movie's going to be like that.
Every movie.
It's like out of Hollywood, and that is unfortunate.
100%. Brandon?
Yeah. So you mentioned that this is one of the main areas where like some of the SEALs train. We have so much Navy and so much military here. Why are you opening another museum here? Like, what's so important about this for either the new trainees or the people in this area?
That's a great question, Brandon. So like I said, the reason they chose that museum at Fort Pierce is that was sacred ground to us. That's where really kind of our birthplace was. We weren't called SEALs back then. We were called SEALs till 62, but Fort Pierce is where the guys trained. You just saw the 80th anniversary with Normandy, and those guys trained. Those guys that cleared those lanes, obviously the Atlantic Wall, and they needed to clear these 50-yard gaps. These naval combat demolition units trained at Fort Pierce.
Wow.
Their first Hell Week, which we continue today, was started 1 year before the invasion.
Wow.
June of 43, they were knocking this Hell Week out. And so that's our, that means a lot to us, but it's just kind of a remote location. There's no SEALs based in that area. So we've always wanted to be in for myself, it's been a decades-long dream. A lot of us out here said, why don't we have a museum out here where we have such a large concentration?
Was there any pushback at all?
No, not really.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of...
getting the resources.
I feel like you can't really push back against that.
Well, listen, they pushed back against the USS Midway Museum for years.
Well, great
really?
point. Mac McLaughlin had told me that. He said it took them from when they said, we want a carrier.
Yeah.
Because when I got involved, they had been going on for about 5 years. It's just hard to find a location, and then it's extremely expensive. But, Mac reminded me, be patient, because when 100%. They said, we want to bring a carrier here to when they cut the ribbon, 12 years elapsed.
Well,
and patience is important.
And Todd's referring to the iconic Mac McLaughlin, just retired as the CEO of the USS Midway Museum. and just a phenomenal guy. He's now enjoying golf back in the East Coast.
And he well-earned for him.
Yeah, well-earned. He'll be back in, I think there's honoring him on the
August,
Midway
yes.
in
Yes,
August
sir.
and so forth, in this area. So, yeah, he just an absolutely terrific guy. Brandon?
I'm just curious because, yes, we talked about the meaning of what it would be for the history of it, but I'm curious on what do you feel? How do you feel and why is this important to you personally?
Well, for me, it's to educate and inspire Americans. I mean, we just saw the huge inspiration that came out of the sacrifice for Normandy, 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So, that's now obviously there's other parts of that we want to entertain. I mean, the Midway entertains people on the flight deck. Before everybody was on the hangar deck, and now they're all on the flight deck because that's what the kids want to do. But I mean, you want to hook them with the entertainment, but you want to educate them, and you want to inspire them to serve a cause higher than themselves, like this greatest generation did. Right. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the military.
Right.
Like I've said often, it could be the Marine Corps, the Peace Corps, or the Conservation Corps, right? You would just go serve a cause higher than yourself. So personally, that's what, and I'd say frankly, for most of our board and our staff, that's what we all want to do.
Well, you bring up something that we talk about quite a bit on the show here with folks that have served in the military. And if I've learned anything from my good friends at the SDMAC, San Diego Military Advisory Council, it's that you folks that are in the military, you serve twice. You serve, obviously, you're protecting us on our soil and abroad, but you're also serving in the communities. You guys are on boards. You guys are Little League coaches. You guys are volunteering everywhere. It's just in your nature to serve, and the SEALs are no different. Talk about that.
Well, yeah, and that's great, and that's true. Now, unfortunately, I can't take credit for much of that because we were just so darn busy.
Yeah, right.
My focus was the kids, my own family.
Understand.
But I do. There's so many people that are involved with the schools and the PTA and the Little Leagues and all. Now, my wife did a lot of that, but I was just very busy.
Listen, military spouses, whether it's a wife or a husband, are so critical. We can talk about that till the cows come home, correct?
Yeah. In fact, my wife became she was the longest serving SEAL spouse when I retired.
Oh, my
She was
goodness.
with me the whole ride for 40 years.
Yeah, wow. Right.
Which is unheard of,
Yeah.
So she's a very special lady as well.
Well, all the spouses are for so many different reasons. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year. We're brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades. Have been doing great things for people living in San Diego County as we're broadcasting from the Mission Fed studios here in Scripps Ranch, joined by Captain Todd Perry, U.S. Navy retired. He is the executive director of the Navy SEAL Museum San Diego, joined by my associate producer, Brandon Joe of the Spotlight Show. He's also CEO and founder of Treasure Hacks. Brandon? I'm
so curious. So, the question has eluded my mind. But
well, I'll jump on it because certainly you can't talk about the Navy SEALs and not Coronado, to say the least, on this aspect of it. It's a great fraternity and sorority, I imagine.
Brotherhood. We call it a brotherhood.
Brotherhood, exactly. On this, how important is it to get the word out to folks in the schools, the kids, of how important the Navy SEALs are?
Well, I mean, we want kids coming there, and are we trying to make them all Navy SEALs? Of course not. But there's a lot of things that we have to do to become SEALs that really apply to all Americans, right? Maybe it's a little bit more amplified, but you need to be able to set goals very early. You need to be very, very dedicated. Right. You need to be a good teammate, a good citizen. The commitment, all of that, and obviously never quit is a big mantra for us. And all those that we instill in our SEALs really apply to all Americans, for whatever they want to do, whether they want to become a doctor or whatever, right? It's so that's...
Yeah, before we get to break, I have one question from you, and then Brandon will chat. Got some questions after we come back from break on this. And I think one of the things that we cannot chat about enough is the transitions. Enough written about the transition of people, whether they're transitioning from the SEALs or they're transitioning from the Marines or the Army or Coast Guard, Air Force, pick a topic on it. And obviously, folk who have served in the military, whether it's 4 years or it's 44 years in it, makes a great candidate to work in their next step. Leadership, dedication, never quit. You guys are in charge of $1 zillion machinery. Talk about how important that is.
Well, it is important, and you learn a lot, and that's an advantage of the guys that get out at 20.
Right.
You're younger to do that, and I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I mean, this is talk about living the dream.
Yeah.
Because at 40 years, I was kind of almost content to just retire because it's kind of we kind of rode hard for those years. But it is important. It brings a great perspective. There's a lot of leadership you learn that applies to the business world. I mean, there's a lot of differences between the military and business, but they still require leadership more than anything.
Exactly.
And there's a lot that we bring to that.
Yeah, exactly. We come back, we're going to chat more with Captain Todd Perry, U.S. Navy. Retired, he's the executive director of the Navy SEAL Museum, San Diego. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to our edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for more than 60 years, doing great things for people living in San Diego County. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media. We are chatting on another episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. They've been doing just wonderful things for people living in San Diego County for more than 6 decades. Chatting with Todd Perry. He is the executive director of the Navy SEAL Museum, San Diego. So you have a board, I take it, that you work with, correct?
Absolutely. We've got a very talented board of directors.
Right, exactly. Now, do they have to be Navy SEALs?
Absolutely not.
Okay, right.
We have some on there, but I mean, what's important is that you're business people. We've got some very talented people on our board. You talked about the Midway earlier. We've got Tom Sudbury,
yes,
and some others that are involved with our board, give us tremendous guidance.
Right.
Especially someone like me that doesn't have a business background, a nonprofit background, or a museum background.
Right.
So we have a lot of great, Kip Howard, Darren Morgan. There's just a lot of great people in San Diego here that are they're priceless.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think people want to support anything that touches the military, and especially museums that honor the great work that has, gone on with the SEALs. Talk about this a little bit. And I know you're not into the recruitment area of SEALs, of course, but we know that depending on what branch it is, been a little bit of a challenge maybe in recent years of fulfilling the ranks and all that aspect. I think the Marines have not had a problem with it. They've been fine on their numbers, maybe a little challenging in some of the other branches, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, the Marines, God bless them for that. People want to become Marines.
They do.
And they don't need the money incentive or anything. People just want to be able to say this. And I love the Marines. I had the honor of serving with them many times throughout my career, and I think the world of them. I mean, the rest of them are having some issues that I've been reading about. I mean, I'm not tied in like I was a couple of years ago when I was active duty.
Right.
We still get plenty that want to come and be SEALs, though, and we need a large pool because we generally get about 25% make it through.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's rigorous. There's no question about that. Anybody who knows anything about the SEALs in that area, on that, certainly you guys certainly work really, really hard on this. Brandon? So
it says here that you've guys done worldwide work as well. talk about that. Get a little bit more into that than just what's here.
Well, I mean, that's what we're all about, to be a presence, where needed. So the general cycle is that they train up for about 18 months,
Right.
as a platoon, as a cohesive unit. And, first it's individual skills, and they train as a platoon, and then they bring larger units involved that will embed with them on deployment. And then they go deploy for 6 months. So that's the cycle that the SEALs are on. Obviously you don't stay in that forever because you go do shore duty, or you go to staff jobs or education or whatever. But that's the cycle we're on that we're pretty proud with. I mean, I'm not sure of any other unit that has the same, platoon of guys that will stay together for 18 months before deployment. Yeah. So they're extremely trained and competent once they go downrange.
I was happy to see that you folks are working with the San Diego Sheriff Respect Program. So we just had Kelly Martinez on the show. And have you met the sheriff? I imagine you have, correct?
I have not. Now, we have a couple other people that are involved with that program.
Yeah.
One of our board members named Jason Boer has been working that. We're really excited to be part of that.
Yeah.
Because we want to be able to have that impact on young kids, especially those at risk.
It's a great program.
Or those from underprivileged or disadvantaged or anything like that. So we're very excited about it.
Well, and there's so much been talked about. Brandon knows he's been involved in some of this over the years or the months, I should say, since he's been an associate producer. You talk about mental health. Mental health is a crisis in this world, probably in the solar system for that matter. No different with youth as well. I know the Respect Program works with a lot of those youth as well. But let's talk about the mental health of folks in the military. A lot has been written about that.
Yeah, and especially, obviously, the suicides are just they're
horrible.
They're heartbreaking, right? And I've lost more than I can even name of people that I knew, and
sorry to hear that.
And what they're really starting to find is there's we call it a TBI, like a concussion injury, but they're finding a lot of it for us is that shock wave, blast injuries that have a different type of effect than, say, a football player hitting helmets.
Right.
That's probably going through your brain 100 miles an hour, but, a shock wave's going through your brain thousands of miles an hour. And whether it's people firing artillery like what we do, we're putting charges on doors, or we're firing different rockets, or there's just a lot of things we do that we're finding that some of these suicides that have had their brain analyzed.
Right.
The scary thing is you can't detect it.
Wow, really?
Thus far until an autopsy.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure that will change, right?
Yeah.
But that's the scary part, is some of these people that have seen problems have said, I want my brain looked at, and they see damage that was done from these, repetitive, explosive shocks.
The source is physical. It's physical from all these different shock waves, from all these different blasts. And do you think there's also sort of like mental aspect that layers on top of all the
I think it all.
damage?
I think it's a big kaleidoscope that just mixes in there. You're in a stressful job. You've been deploying a lot. We went really hard from 2001 to about 2020. And I think all that just kind of compounds. It's hard on the family. So obviously if there's a family problem, that's going to complicate it. Some resort to some extra drinking, and that doesn't help. I mean, that only worsens things. And insomnia and all that stuff just
it's like significant stress constantly on the individual. And in that case, like, what can you do to support someone coming out of this space or even currently in this space?
Well, not being an expert, my biggest thing is when you see symptoms, what I've learned is talk to the spouse, because some of these losses, the fellow teammates are like, wow, we never saw that coming. But so I would encourage either proactively engage a spouse, but if they don't know, then the spouses need to know to reach out to friends and go, hey, he's just not the same. On some of them, very different how someone was behaving at home than at work.
Wow, really?
Because we're conditioned to conceal things like that, right? That's what we do.
Right.
And I think I would be the same way if I don't want to be seen as the weak person that's got depression or where I need help. But it's that stigma has gone away over the years because we've seen some tremendous people that we've lost. It just completely shocks you.
Right. And that certainly, we know it's the highest level it's ever been in this area, and hopefully we're finding ways that we can reverse that. What are some of the biggest challenges, for moving forward with Navy SEALs? Is it recruitment? Is it the war on terrorism that never seems to stop? What are some of the big challenges?
Well, I mean, the war on terror will always be on menu, always, right? It's never going to go away. There's never going to be a VT day and it's over, right? So I mean,
it would be nice,
but yeah, it would. Well, it'd be nice if there's no wars, right? I mean,
exactly.
But the world is what it is, and obviously, since we're out of those big theaters of Afghanistan and Iraq, there's the great power competition,
right?
Obviously, just watch the news. What Russia and China are doing, and then you still got North Korea, and you still got Iran, and now you got Iran spilling over into Israel and all that. And then there's this terrorist thing.
Yeah.
Iran, Gaza's kind of twofold. Hamas is a terrorist organization, yet they're funded by, these are non-state actors, but are funded by state.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
nation states.
And I think these things are really important, to talk about, and certainly let people know this is really what is happening in that area. So let me ask you this. We're chatting again with Todd Perry. He's the executive director of the Navy SEAL Museum in San Diego. I'm Drew Schlosberg. He's listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by my associate producer, Brandon Joe, who's also the CEO and founder of Treasure Hacks. What can we do? What can our Spotlight listeners do to support the museum?
Reach out to us to support. I mean, we need, we will come talk to whoever wants to know about the museum and learn more.
Right.
I'll leave you all that contact info.
Right. And is it volunteers? Is it capital? Is it donations? Is it everything in between?
It's all the above you just said.
Yeah.
There will be a big volunteer. The Midway has over 1,000.
They do.
And these are people that just want to work, 20 hours a month. Their average age is 75. And we have a lot of SEALs in this area.
Right.
It's becoming a challenge, that part, because California is so expensive and not very friendly to veterans, right? I mean, they tax your retirement, where most, I think 48 states don't do that. So that's one aspect. The funding, I mean, museums are expensive, properties are expensive. So we need to raise more capital. We've got a museum that we're in there swinging hammers on right now, but we also, everyone, we know that the demand will exceed the capacity. So we're also looking at what's going to be the bigger one down the road, just like we're in the building of the Museum of Contemporary Art San Diego.
Right.
Well, guess what they did? They got bigger.
Right.
And they moved up to La Jolla. And that's the same model, we'll use it, that many museums have used. The Getty Museum in LA and the Spy Museum in DC. And that's, so our focus obviously is this museum we want to open in 2025. Come on down anytime, Drew. And Brand, I'm happy to walk in and show you around.
And where's it located exactly?
It's on Kettner and Broadway.
Okay, yeah,
It's right across from the Santa Fe train station.
Sure.
It was the former Museum of Contemporary Arts, but like I said, they've moved and they've expanded, and we anticipate doing the same thing.
Yeah, very, very excited. Do you have any other questions?
I just want to say thank you so much for your service for 40 years. In addition to now the Navy SEAL Museum, that is incredible work that you're doing, that it spans your entire life. And that's something that is incredibly respectable and something that I would strive to do.
Well, it's living the dream, Brandon. I mean, I love the community. Selfishly, I want to make things for our SEAL community, but it's for the public, right? And we want it to be both. We want the public to come in there. I mean, the the most important person at that museum is the mom.
Right.
As Scott McGaw's told me from the Midway, who
I do know very well.
But also, I want our Naval Special Warfare community to be proud, want to run events there, want to send families there when there's graduations, all of that, because I would have loved to have something like that when I graduated, over 40 years ago.
Yeah. Well, Todd, let's do this. Let's have you come back on in a few months. Let us know. Give us an update of how the museum is coming. If you want to bring somebody else in that's involved with this, that's great. You want to come in with Terry Capt, the CEO of the...
Terry's incredible.
Yeah, he's a frequent guest on our show. I love Terry. And everybody else in between as well. So thank you so much for coming in, sharing this great work that is going on with the Navy SEAL Museum San Diego. We look forward to having you make a return appearance.
Well, thanks, Drew. I didn't realize you'd been around so long. I mean, you're like a plank owner of this. We call that in the Navy a plank owner, a founding father.
I'm more like plankton.
But I mean, before the word podcast ever came about, you've been doing this.
It's complete luck. And a lot of people that I worked with on it, and I really credit to Chris Genuine. He's the publisher of the Times of San Diego, but he was my colleague at the Union Tribune. He ran our internet division, San Diego, and he said, we need to have our own internet radio station because of that. And And then that's how we all started this thing.
Yeah.
And,
Well, there's always luck, but also you make your own luck.
Well,
and you've
you're
done
very
that.
kind to
you,
say
you
that.
weren't chosen for a reason.
Well, I appreciate that.
Brandon.
You're very kind to say that. Chatting with, again, Todd Perry, Executive Director of the Navy SEAL Museum, San Diego. I'm Drew Schlosberg. Listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.